Hello everyone, Alexander Mathers here, reporting to you from a park bench here in Tbilisi, Georgia. Probably going to start doing a series from a park bench. That kind of works. Today I wanted to talk about something rather uncomfortable for many of us perhaps, is looking towards our pasts, our dark, turbulent, shameful, regretful, embarrassing pasts. How painful they can be, and how our memories of the past can hold us back. I talk a lot about the importance of facing forward, looking towards where we want to go, what we want in life, being laser focused on our successes and how we can win, and being obsessive about winning as an antidote to a lot of our pains. I think a lot of us spend far too much time in the past, worrying about who we are, and trying to fix ourselves, and trying to get therapy, and trying to sort of delve into why our parents were horrendous to us, and why everyone else was at fault for our unhappy childhoods and all that kind of stuff. And a bit of talk therapy, I suppose, is a good thing, but I always say, to get over all these issues and to get over these insecurities, we need to face forward. We need to get obsessed again about winning, and we need to act in such a way that people, the stronger version of ourselves would act, i.e. would focus on our goals and focus on succeeding in life. But there comes a point where those things that we are ashamed of from our pasts can anchor us down in ways that are unnecessary. And I wanted to talk about how we can address those things. We all have memories that we're not fond of, that tend to bubble up and tend to hold us back, especially when we're faced with discomfort, especially when we're faced with moments in our lives where maybe we're challenged in some way, maybe our insecurities are forced to show themselves in moments of vulnerability. Maybe we find ourselves on a stage, or preparing for something frightening, or we have a girlfriend who's tells us the truth about an aspect of ourselves, and we're forced to confront our demons. I think I've got a bit of a crowd gathering here listening in. Well, good for them, because I'm about to unleash some useful information, I hope. So there are certain aspects of our past that, rather than turning away from them, which I think is a good thing for the most part, I think there comes a point where we need to sit down and confront them, so that we can forgive ourselves and accept what happened, whatever it was, and be free of those shackles that form when we are ashamed of something, when we're ashamed about something that we did in the past. Because there are ways to see what happened in our past in a different light, so that we feel free of those shackles and we feel better about ourselves. And we can finally move forward with more robustness, with a more belief in ourselves, and that's what it's all about. We need to put ourselves in a position whereby we are able to move freely forward. Obviously, we're going to have fears no matter what moving ahead, but it's a lot easier to take courageous action, which is what we all need to do when we are free of those unnecessary shames and anchors that hold us down. Those tormenting memories from our past. In my case, it's being quiet at school. It sounds so pathetic when I explain it now, but my biggest regret has always been, and it's something I've always been working on, is not speaking up in class, being considered dull at school because I was so quiet and so scared. I mean, this didn't really happen until I was 13. Before that, I was always the class clown and always expressive and fun at school. And then I went to boarding school, got homesick and depressed, and closed down. And that led to me for at least a good year barely uttering a word at school, and me then dealing with that regret, dealing with the anxiety associated with the shame that came from all that. I really beat myself up about that, and it was really, me acting as my own worst enemy, because I was so annoyed with myself for how I behaved at school. I.e., I wasn't naughty, I wasn't, taking drugs, I wasn't doing all the stuff that I thought might have been cool with other people, being a bit of a rebel, being outgoing, all that stuff I wasn't. And because of that, I was just annoyed with myself for being such a kind of quiet, goody boy. And that tormented me for the next 20 years of my life. Until I started sitting down and making use of the solution that I'm about to share with you guys, which is to see the things you did in the past and the things that you're regretful about in a truthful light, i.e. to strip away all the delusion and irrationality you have about those things. We tend to, when we are ashamed about certain things, we tend to associate all kinds of lies and mistruths about what we did and how we went about things and who we were as a result of that, and who we are today as a result of those actions that we took. We often lie about ourselves, and we often create false beliefs about what happened, and we color our memories in different ways so that we ultimately we are misunderstanding of ourselves and what went down. And when we can't forgive other people, we often have mistruths about who they were and around the incident itself, which leads to us not being able to forgive people, and that creates all kinds of problems. If we can't forgive ourselves and other people, we're going to be loaded down by that resentment for the rest of our lives, and resentment and shame is the most powerful force holding us back from getting anywhere in life. So we need to address those things. And I have found that the most powerful way to address mistruths and false beliefs about ourselves, negative beliefs about ourselves as a result of what happened in the past, is to question those beliefs, is to break them down into tiny pieces. And this takes work. I would like to say that we just need to get on with life and focus on how to make a success of life, but there is a need. If you haven't quite processed and accepted what happened in the past, you need to perform a kind of self-therapy on yourself through asking questions. And you can have a coach or a therapist also do this. And one of the best ways I've found to question your false beliefs is through Byron Katie's process that she calls the work. She's been very useful for me in terms of just coming up with 4 or 5 questions that you can ask of every belief that you have, to break them down and to see them in a different light. And that's the key thing. It's to strip away the irrationality around your negative beliefs so that you see things in a more positive frame. And that is ultimately going to change your very physicology, if that's the right word. It makes you, when you think about something in a different way, especially something that's been niggling at you for years and years, that pain in your chest, whatever it is, if you see what causes that pain in a different light, in a different frame, you're going to feel lighter, you're going to feel better almost immediately. In fact, immediately, if you really absorb and internalize the answers to the questions you create for those things. So the questions that Byron Katie came up with through this process called the work, sounds a bit cultish, but it does help tremendously, is to take a false belief or a belief that you have about yourself, or about the incident that you're ashamed of, or about the person that you can't forgive. What is the belief you have about them? So spend a few moments, spend maybe even half a day to a day just processing all this stuff. Write down all your potentially false beliefs that you have. So you might have been bullied at school, in which case, and you might have believed what the bullies said about you. In my case, it was that I was boring, and that really affected my self-confidence, my ability to express myself, because I actually believed that for a long time. I believed that I was a dull person because I was quiet at school, and I believed the authority of the bully. So I went in and I addressed this negative belief, the belief being I am a boring person. I am a boring person. Can I be... Okay, so the question you would address for that particular belief is this true? That'll give you a moment to think about it. Am I a boring person? Is that true? And you might say, well, yeah, I am pretty boring. And then you'll ask the next question, which is, can I be absolutely certain that that is true? And then you'll have to go deeper a bit. And you'll have to really make rational sense of that statement. And you'll realize more often than not that is total bullshit, because there might have been many moments in your life where you haven't been boring, where you've been interesting, when people have laughed at what you've said, where you've written something interesting, where you've created and contributed in an interesting, fun way. So that belief will immediately be broken down a little bit more through answering that question and seeing, hang on a sec, this isn't true actually, is it? And all this time I've been thinking that it is true. So immediately from that process, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to start accepting your past, and you'll be able to start seeing yourself in a slightly different light. Do you see how that works? When you start questioning your negative beliefs, you'll start thinking, wow, maybe there's more to me. Maybe there's more to that side of me that I didn't realize. Ultimately, all this is doing is making you understand yourself and your past and your enemies better. And that is absolutely massive. Being able to understand people is the solution to your resentment towards them, to your hatred towards them, to your inability to accept other people and yourself. It's just through clarity, through truth, through understanding. And questioning those mistruths is the solution. And it's the solution to your shame, it's the solution to your struggle, your inability to process the past. So those are two key questions. The next question you might have, or you will have, is, and this is going through a process of continually breaking down those false beliefs. I hope I'm not covering up the microphone. The next question is, what kind of a person am I with that belief? If I believe that belief, who am I? How do I react? How do I go about things? How do I behave? So if I have the belief that I am boring, what kind of a person am I? Well, I get nervous about social situations. I get nervous about expressing myself in public. I get annoyed with little kids who start making noises around me. Losing my train of thought. I kind of fulfill that very belief by... This is kind of annoying, there's a kid here. Let me just give myself a couple of minutes here. If I have the belief that I'm boring or dull or not interesting, then I'm going to behave like that because I believe that's how I should be. Okay, so with that belief, I'm constricted, I'm nervous, I'm lacking in expression. I am the very person that I am worried about being. And then we move on to the next belief, the next question, which is, who am I without the thought? And this opens up the idea of how we are slaves to our thoughts. We can simply make the decision to not have that thought, to not have the belief. And what does that do to us? Who am I without the belief? If that belief just simply didn't exist in my mind, that I'm boring, who am I? Finally, I can be someone who's expressive, who's relaxed around other people, who has belief in themselves, who enjoys being confident and fun and playful. You see? And then the next question is, how do we turn this around? What are the opposites of this belief? So one of the opposites is, I am a fascinating person. And you would then need to run through moments in your past or ideas you have about yourself right now that confirm that new belief. You're just creating a new belief. That's all you need to do. You need to move from an old belief to a new belief, and a turnaround is a great way of doing that. Finding the opposite. So what are some examples of you being a fascinating person rather than a boring person? I'm sure you've got many incidents in your life where you could remember and prove to yourself that yet you have the ability to be interesting, to be fun. And you will find those moments, and you will see that your initial belief is total nonsense. It's only a label. It's only an irrational, humanly applied label that is effectively total nonsense. The truth is that you are just as you are. You're not bad or good in any way. You're just, you know, you're falsely believing in a label that doesn't exist. So that's effectively it. It's taking 4 or 5 questions and applying them to all your negative beliefs or your mistruths or your discomforts about who you were in the past, and realizing that you can break things down and turn things around and see yourself in an entirely different light. And as soon as you see that, and as soon as you see proof of you being not the person you thought you were, or you just need to be reminded of it, you will start seeing yourself in a different light. You'll start feeling better, and you'll start being able to accept the past for whatever happened. Okay, so the 5 questions again are: take the belief and then apply these questions. Is it true? Can I be absolutely certain that it's true? Who am I with the belief? Who am I without the belief? And finally, what is the turnaround? What is the opposite of that belief? And you can apply many turnarounds. So it could be, for the belief that I am boring, it could be I am fascinating. It could be other people are boring. So you might want to start thinking about other people that you might judge to be boring, and start seeing yourself as a judger, and realizing that you've been judging other people just as you've been judging yourself. And that also breaks things down and neutralizes those false beliefs you have about yourself. Yeah, there are other examples that we'll go into in perhaps other videos, but that's the crux of it. Question your lies that you've given yourself. Lies are what hold you back. Truth is what's going to set you free, as they say. So perhaps sitting on a park bench isn't ideal because it's quite noisy, especially on a Sunday here. But I hope you heard me, and I hope this made sense. In a nutshell, your past does a very good job of helping you tell lies about yourself, and really the solution is to understand yourself and apply this also to other people. So if someone else hurt you, then you can question those beliefs you have about them as well, and maybe you'll start seeing that perhaps they had their own insecurities to deal with and they were letting it out on you, but it wasn't really a reflection of you, and you start to kind of neutralize your emotions you have about other people, and it's very, very powerful stuff. So try that today. Ask me any questions you have about that. It's a very, very powerful and important phase I think we all need to go through, is questioning any mistruths we have about our past, so that we can finally be set free to take positive action into the future. All right, guys, subscribe to this if this was useful. I'm going to make a point of using a more professional setup here with a tripod and all that kind of stuff soon, so bear with me here. But I like to do these occasional sitting on bench type chats as well. Let me know if you actually like these and what you don't like about these. I'm all ears to hear about how I can improve all this stuff. I'm pretty new to this whole video thing, so please do send me your feedback. Subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon if you're on YouTube to hear when I post new videos without missing them. Like this video. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Alex Mathers. Go to my site alexmathers.net and sign up to my newsletter so that you keep up to date with everything, and you get all kinds of extra juicy bonuses. Signing out from Tbilisi, Georgia. Much love. Have a great day, guys.